Hey guys, welcome back to Learn, Do, Explain. This is the class for high school geometry, and in today's lecture we will learn about triangle inequality. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the lecture. This is lecture 9, Triangle Inequality Theorem, and the objectives for this lecture will be define triangle inequality, apply concepts to solve for missing side of the triangle, and apply triangle concepts to solve for complex exercise. Okay, so what does this theorem tell us? This theorem tells us that to find a missing side of an entire triangle given the two other sides of the triangle, we can set up an inequality to define the value of, in this case, x, right? So the theorem tells us that x should be greater than the difference of the two sides, the two given sides, and smaller than the sum of the two sides. Okay? So to understand this theorem a little bit more, let's take this angle right here, right? So imagine that we take this angle right here and we make it smaller and smaller every time, right? To a way that this is always joined, right? Making this vertex closer and closer to the red side. In this case, the side that is 10. Okay, so we take this vertex and make it closer and closer to a point where we end up with the side 6 on top of the side 10. So this side will be 6. And this side, the remaining side, is x. Okay, so what we're doing here is making this angle smaller and smaller, like closing this angle, which means bringing this vertex closer and closer to this side, making it in a straight line, which makes x, which is this side, making it smaller and smaller, and this side in here, which is always going to be 6. Okay, so this means that x should be the difference between 10 and 6, right? So in this case, it will be 4, right? Because if we think about it, 4 plus 6 will end up being 10, which is the length of this side. So the smallest number that x could be will be 4, because it cannot be smaller than 4. It will never add up to 10, okay? So x has to be greater than 4. Okay, but that's one side of the inequality. Let's calculate on the other side of the inequality. Remember that here we are calculating between what number x should be, right? Okay, so if we take the same example and we take this same angle, but we make it larger and larger. So which means that we take this vertex and extending it, taking this closer to x. It will end up being this entire length 10 and this entire length 6. So the largest the x can go is the sum of the two given sides, right? Which in this case will be 10 plus 6. X cannot be larger than this. Okay, so this is the second inequality. X should be less than 16. Okay, so from this exercise, we can see that x should not be smaller than 4 or larger than 16. Another way we could write it down is that x is larger than 4, but smaller than 16. And this will be the answer of the inequality for this problem. So let's go ahead and move to the next problem. Let's go ahead and apply the theorem. We know that x should be greater than the difference and smaller than the sum of the two sides. In this case, we have side 1 is 7, side 2 is 4. Okay, so let's go ahead and solve for the inequality. We have that x is greater than the difference. What is the difference between 7 and 4? Okay, and smaller than the sum, which be 7 plus 4. Okay, so 7 minus 4, that will be 3, less than x, less than 11. Okay, so this is the inequality for this problem. X, this x, this missing side of the triangle, should be greater than 3, which is the difference between the two given triangles, and less than the sum of these two sides.